Welcome our guest Rajat. We also have Hassan Mamdouh. We have Muhammad Amin, Simone Rossi, Stefano Orlandi, Govern Davis from Dubai, Italy, from Qatar, from
The best influencer marketing and use of AI.
It seems to me sometimes like I'm driving a Ferrari without enough experience.
That is gonna follow the same pattern you have in the project.
But just put the name AI in it and we got the award.
Buongiorno. Hello and welcome to a new TikTok episode. It's been a while. We're not being publishing. Thank you for everyone who's watching us live now on Meetup or on StreamYard or on different solutions. So, in many occasions, in many interviews, several CEOs and CTOs were not able to give a solid answer or justification on how AI practically will bring tomorrow, will look like tomorrow for us employees or for organizations. Yeah, we know we're going to process more, we're going to compute more, but we don't really understand how or in which way we need to prepare our organization or ourselves as individuals or as professionals. We're talking about a technology or an investment that the world hasn't seen before historically. $170 billion have been spent, for example, as funding for OpenAI. Anthropic has spent or has gained $67 billion. The closest to these historical numbers was, I think, Aramco 4 or 5 years ago when they joined, when they went public, IPO. Last time in the TikTok, we've talked about AI subject as a standalone subject. Our message was that governance and disciplines were essential, and it wasn't just a normal hype, or it's not just a bubble that's gonna go away and that's it. And we need to prepare ourselves and just not jump our organization or ourselves inside. So my message was, the message that I'm coming back to you with is to answer some questions and to better understand how we can get the best out of this buffet of choices or this spectrum of choices that has opened to us. And in order to do that, we need to understand what are we doing as colleagues in a company, as organizations, as people from different industries, in order to understand what we can adapt, what we can do in order to prepare for tomorrow, and so on. We'll try to answer like how are different businesses today are actually using AI, how we as organizations or individuals should prepare for tomorrow. To do so, of course, we'll have to touch on authentic AI infusion, which is having AI in the technology as technologies within the process, within human, because this is the pillars of adapting AI. AI washing that has been happening in the last 2, 3, 4 years. And of course, the media sensationalism that has been all over the internet, all over our daily life. We're going to hear from normal users in business at home, people who like moms and people who are at home. We're going to hear from people from moms and ordinary people in critical sectors that impact the public community, safety and finance, for example, and from the tech industry like us, directly people who build such technologies. Please, let's welcome our guests one by one. We have a lot today, starting from Rajat. He is a CTO at Canvas Costume Index. Hi, Rajat. We also have Hassan Mamdouh. He is a threat intelligence expert in a leading aviation company. We have Muhammad Amin. He's a content director in a well-known international marketing agency, speaking from Dubai, speaking from Qatar, speaking from USA. Fourth, we have Simone Rossi. He is head of agile practices in Sorrent Lab, speaking from Italy. We have Stefano Orlandi, a senior software engineer, joining us also from Italy. Hi, Stefano. And we have Govern Davis. He is a business adventure, a solution architect. He will represent the business aspect or the normal user today. Thank you all, and hi thank you for joining us today. Hello.
Awesome. Excited to be here.
Thank you for having us. Hello, everyone.
Ahmad, Mone,
Yeah,
Rajat,
thank you.
Stefano. We promised our guests to have a round. We were not gonna follow the agenda. It's a very deep, complicated subject, very rich perspective, and I want to get the most out of this gathering today. So please, let's have a round at the beginning and hear from everyone an opening statement about your view on AI, whatever this view is, whatever comes to your mind. Please say, how do you see AI? What is AI for you? Rajat, let's start from Rajat.
Yeah, I'm super excited about what's going on in the AI world. I mean, there's a lot happening, and it feels like 97, 98 again, where there was so much innovation happening, so many new possibilities, and so I'm sure as we get into, we'll talk more about it. But it's a really fun time, to be honest.
Hossam.
Yeah, hi. Nice to see you all. It's great to be here. For me, I think from a personal perspective, there's a lot of excitement about what AI can do, and I guess from someone who's not as tech savvy or understands exactly the mechanics of how AI works, very excited to learn the usability of it. And then from a sort of professional perspective in security, have a lot of cautious optimism, a lot of hesitations about the safety of AI and how useful it can be in protecting people and businesses. So yeah,
I like this perspective. Stefano, techie guy.
I agree with Rajat. I mean, I'm really excited using these technologies, just like going back and realize something and start learning something completely new, and that changed the perspective of what we are doing and how we're doing it. And this is true for development side I'm talking about, and also excited about the speed it's growing, because it's growing really fast. I'm noticing it still from the development side. We started doing really basic stuff. Right now, with the agentic era, everything is already changed. So let's see the future.
Simone.
Yeah, I'm maybe too much excited about AI. I'm almost becoming dependent from AI, but this is a different story. I use it almost every day for doing the most basic things like writing emails, but also to build an entire website. I did it for my personal work. During the weekend, I built a complete website fully working. And so this is the exciting
we
part.
couldn't have dreamed to have 10 years ago.
Absolutely no. And also, I feel the pace is very fast, and I have difficulties in chasing all the changes that AI is everything is happening too faster for me. So it's a very huge world, and
For all of us. Let's hear from Muhammad, sorry.
Yeah, I kind of echo what everyone else said. If I'm to summarize it from my point of view, it's kind of I'm amazed but scared. Amazed at all the great things that I can do, all the things that I could never dreamed of doing. The other day, I composed a whole song with AI, did a podcast with AI. That's the amazing part, videos and images and everything. But then scared because of how fast it's going. Are we able to keep up? Are we able to govern it? Are we able to tell the difference between what is real, what is not anymore, with all what's happening around us, the fake news? So it's kind of mixed feelings, but I guess it's a flow that we have to go with. There's no other option anymore. We're not going backwards. It's just forwards and upwards from now on. And we'll see where this will take us, what's going to happen to us in the next 2, 3, 5, even a month. So we'll see how it goes.
Fair. I think we kind of all have the same feeling to some extent. Govan.
Yeah, I remember sitting in a basement in the early 90s in the CS building at UC Davis playing on these like Unix boxes on these mud things so I could go and play these multi-user text dungeons with people all over the world. And one day I went upstairs into the other lab that had the Macs and I guess they had some PCs and there's this Yahoo thing. And I'm like, what is this? And it's the internet. And my mind was completely blown. And, just watching that take off, and then looking at what's happening today, I'm like, this is Internet 2.0, just like 100 times bigger and faster, and there's just so much more to come, and it's super exciting.
Great. Yeah. Let's start with Hussam, please. Hussam, how was life before AI in comparison to life after AI? Like, tell us first, what is your work, the nature of your work, and then how AI affect. Please take your time so we really understand how the day-to-day work changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work in security, and effectively my job is to monitor and assess the risks that may face an organization or an individual. And in my current role and in my past roles as well, that's generally been my day-to-day. So, I come from a world of human intelligence, open source intelligence, and then now, and a lot of it has been on human intelligence. That's been a big added value of people in my role and what we do and how we get the information and how to detect threats before they're in the news and before people are aware of them. So I think from a cultural perspective, a lot of people in my industry have been quite resistant to AI because actually, from a monitoring perspective, AI has eliminated many hours from people who do my job and analysts who do my job.
No, please, I want to learn and I want our audience to understand. Give like a real example. Something.
So if you give you an example, trying to think now. So if you're in a conflict and you're monitoring the activities of a war in particular, a big part of a lot of organizations, especially ones that are affected by that war, if you're in a war in Thailand and you have a business that's operating in Thailand, the intelligence team, the security team will spend hours upon hours sieving through all the incidents, all the statements being made by the militaries, all the kinetic and impacts of conflict and all of the sentiment amongst the people to try and assess where the conflict is going, whether there'll be protests as a result, will there be shortages of water, will there be shortages of electricity, and all of that relies on collecting this data. And you have organizations, entire businesses really, who have their entire business model is sending you alerts into your inbox every second. 5 years ago, I used to receive, 500 alerts in the space of an hour from one business about one particular country or one particular city. And that was a lot of noise, and it was a lot of time consuming. And you used to have entire junior analysts, junior teams whose job was to sit, sieve, analyze, figure out what is noise, what's relevant, what's not relevant, draw the patterns, draw the pictures, and try and to be able to give a coherent picture to the business as to where this conflict is going or where the threat may come from or how the business may be impacted. And just from an alerting point of view, AI is able to, AI tools are able to do that very quickly, of course, and tell you, instead of me reading through, 1,500 emails to figure out how many times people have taken to the streets or how many times water stations have been affected in a conflict or how many times people online have said something negative about the government or something negative about our business. This is, as you said in your introduction, this is sort of the rapid processing of information of data points is, it's reduced hundreds of hours, I would say, and that in itself, and that we're already seeing. And there's a lot of providers, and like I said to you, there were businesses where their entire model was to send us these alerts. These same businesses now are the ones really leading in terms of utilizing AI in security, and it's been incredibly effective. But that's the raw information. That's information collecting, gathering, monitoring. That's and there's no debate as to how effective that is, how useful that is. The other side of it is then analyzing this data and analyzing the situations and trying to make judgment calls in order to make decisions as to how to adjust or not adjust your posture. Do you need to move your people? Do you need to move your offices? Do you need to, making those decisions? And we have not yet seen how AI can add value in that space in a trusted way. Because AI can, of course. Yeah.
It can, it will, that's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. But today, in this phase where the data is there, has been read, captured, summarized within your company, still a human would take the final decision. You
Yes.
haven't left it for an AI.
Yes, a human would take the decision, and a human would. It's we use the phrase, and I'm sure it's an industry-wide thing, a human in the loop or whatever it is, and there's always a human in the loop to receive the information and make the assessment with the information, make the decision, and not necessarily the decision, but even just the advice for the decision maker. And making it relevant. And going back to the thing is, of course, AI can do that, and there are language tools in which, and programs in which they can do that. It's the question of that information being trusted. That's the first thing, or that advice being trusted, and those decisions being trusted. And then there's a second thing in security, which is accountability. And then there is someone with every decision that is made, every security decision that is made, there is an accountable person for that decision, and that is often a legal, regulatory, or even an ethical requirement, in which when something happens, we can turn around and say, okay, Hussam said or Mohab said that we should do this. What was his rationale for it? And I think that's the issue that a lot of people in the industry maybe are struggling with AI when it comes to security.
Accountability, I think, is the key word of what you said, but I'm really excited that you explained to us how things was and is at the moment in your industry, which is realistic. Makes sense to me, IT, coming from an IT background, where in reality such an organization is using AI tools or AI technology. I'm thinking time-wise now. I'll have to move faster. Let us first finish from the end users. Muhammad, please tell us about the nature of your work, like Hussam, before, after, but give us also like one or two examples where AI shined.
So basically what I do along with the team, of course, is that we create content. That's in a nutshell. We create social content or social content first, and we deal with a lot of influencers doing so. Before AI, if I can squeeze my brain to remember the time before AI, because things have been very quick in the past few years, the hours that Hussam was talking about of how people complain about the numbers of hours decrease, which could affect billing and such, and I understand how the business models could work. For us, it was kind of the opposite, because we are able to save a lot of hours in terms of planning, in terms of digging for insights or coming up with that insight that we build our campaigns on, or the content that we create on. So AI has helped greatly on that front. In addition to that, the generative AI in terms of videos and images, the limits have kind of decreased. And when I say limits, is the creative limits. So whatever you can think of now can, in a way, be done. That's one. Two, and the financial limits. I no longer need very expensive editing tools or editing software or hardware or whatnot to come up with that brilliant piece of content, because with a couple of lines or prompts on a good AI tool, we get the output that we want, maybe a few tweaks here and there, and then it gets published. But then this puts a crunch on us from the client's point of view, because that's kind of the talk of the town. A few years ago, all of the clients would come to us and say, I want this video to go viral, which there's no formula for that, because everyone would have went viral. But now everyone says, I want AI. I want to show AI. I want to show that my brand is future thinking forward, and AI is integrated. Even if they sell, sorry?
This is AI washing that I gave.
This is AI, yes, exactly. Even if the brand we're dealing with is cheese, which is not much of AI there. It's just a cheese on a toast and you eat it. But everyone wants AI, and that puts the pressure on us. But to your question, to your second part of the question, how or examples that AI has shined for us, actually it was for our cheese brand as well. We did a campaign a couple of years ago that won a couple of awards. We got two sets of chefs. One was purely using his or her expertise. One was using AI in terms of dictating or telling the AI, I have these kind of ingredients, what can I cook with them? The two sets of chefs had the same number of ingredients, the same ingredients, and then the one that cooked with their expertise sat in a corner. The other one with ChatGPT at that point, and we had judges who were in the back end. They don't know who was cooking what, and they came out and they tasted both dishes on several occasions. Surprisingly, 2 out of 3 times the AI powered chef won. And that was an example where it was a very famous cheese brand. That was an example where we got 2 awards for that, for best influencer marketing in use of AI. So we had to put the name AI in it, and we got the award. That's one example. Another example that we created the first for our company, at least, AI virtual influencer. And it was among the first globally. And I'm talking about completely created with AI, and the backstory of the character. The character itself, the facial features was created by Midjourney with all the angles and such to preserve the consistency. And then when we took those seed images, we started creating content for the virtual influencer. She travels, she comes, she goes, she has a dog, she invites friends
were one
over.
of the guys who started making social media accounts for AI users.
Yes, we did, but our intention was different, other than whatever dark intentions people have now. Our intention was to have this influencer that we can control, zero scandals, zero conflict of interest. We design her world. We say when she travels, when she comes back, what she says, what she wears, what she doesn't. And the next stage was to integrate her in real life events. And you've probably seen examples of influencers who are not real, but they are in real events. And they are actually in pictures with real celebs. So that's the next stage for us. So then we can start monetizing her and making money out of her, which is the whole end goal anyways. So to summarize, AI has changed a lot for us. It did crunch the hours, decreased a lot of the work that mundane and the trivial tasks specifically, opened up our creativity doors, shed or brought down the limits of what we can do. And at the same time, we have succeeded or successfully implemented a few AI-centric campaigns. And we hopefully, in the future, hope to monetize more from those campaigns.
Amazing. Let's go to Rajat. Before we go to the tech, I'm leaving the techie people to the end today. Rajat, please, can you tell us?
I'll give you some examples or thoughts about where we could leverage. I think one of the things it does is it really, because it's a multiplier for expertise. So in the financial world, there's all these like stocks you're looking at to see what to buy, and the smaller companies that are lower market cap, they're often not as well followed, right? Because every company you're following, there's a lot of detail you have to get into to understand what is going on in that company, what's likely to be a risk, et cetera. And so there's been this like move towards large caps and mega cap stocks because of that. And the smaller sized companies have less of a following, less analysts looking at those companies. And so part of, I think, what AI is going to enable us to do is to allow a greater amount of scrutiny to be placed on these smaller companies because of the ability to say, here's all the things I want to look for, here's the special situations I need to assess. And that can allow people to zero in on those companies much, with less effort. And then obviously there's a step of actually looking at them with the human analyst looking at them, but at least you're able to surface more things more readily. So that's an example where I think where that can change the nature of how you're investing.
And I just so I understand, indexing, Canvas Index. What does the solution do? It analyzes the stock market or some stocks and gives a report to the investors?
Yeah, but what we do right now is we currently, essentially, if you think about you're trying to invest in an S&P index, a lot of times there's a lot of people saying just buy the index, which is passive investing. And what we're able to do is to essentially allow you to replicate that index into your individual brokerage account. So you're not necessarily buying the prepackaged product; you're buying the underlying securities. And when you do that, you're able to do tax loss harvesting. So some of those stocks that you're buying from the index are likely to be in a loss situation, and so we're able to sell out those stocks and rebuy them after a certain period of time to create a tax loss, which then allows you to essentially defer any capital gains you might have that you can't control to a later date because you've got tax losses to offset that. So it's essentially a way of enabling you to get better returns by keeping more money invested through the generation of tax losses. So that's what the indexing business is, and it's a really big growing business because you move from mutual funds where people there's still parts of the world where people buy mutual funds to an indexing based investment style, and personalized indexing is really a way of or customized indexing is a way for people to go back to being able to tweak the parameters of what you buy and get better returns. So that's really what our business is about.
I want to ask this question, but not necessarily in your company. Any example that might come to your mind, because this is a critical service. It's finance. It's people's money. Where there's scandals, where there are issues, where there are scandals out of AI's recommendation or AI's direction at some point, even if not today, 2 years ago. AI caused, I'm sure it did, but any example that you know very well that you can tell us about?
I don't know if I could comment on any AI related scandals or issues because AI was utilized imprudently. I mean, there's always algorithmic trading and triggers that cause lots of people to move money out of stocks in Unision. So there's always that. But what we're really focused on is really enabling mass customization that previously was not possible, right? So typically only the very high net worth people would have personalization, and you're paying a fair amount of money to advisors to help with that. We're bringing that to a much larger audience. And there's large companies like the Schwabs and Fidelities of the world that are essentially allowing people that are individual investors with maybe $5,000, $10,000 to be able to also get that same level of optionality.
Great. Governed. I see you presenting the normal users who don't care about security. Who doesn't care about Simone's 2 days website that only God knows how secure this is. Only God knows how compatible this is on different browsers. I'm just giving an example. How much do you care, Govin?
So I'm someone who spends like all day just playing with the AI toys. And I mean, part of it is just because of my own personal fascination and also just for the work that I do. And what I'm going through right now is just this like huge personal transformation in terms of like, behind me are the days that I would if I wanted to build a landing page, I would have to like go through this like excruciating process of writing and design and now
or
I'm
hiring opening a freelancing solution to
hire somebody else to do the parts that I don't want to do. And now, I can go online and I can just, put some stuff in and, there's this cycle of like, okay, I talk to the machine, it produces something that's maybe right, maybe not quite, but, pretty quickly I'm going to get something that works. And then you bump into these situations like, okay, I deployed something on Replit and I realized that now every time I want to make a change, it costs me $1.50. And, and the thing that I built is kind of locked in and I can't move it. And so, I've had to continuously evolve the tools and the way that I approach it, really with some of these thoughts in mind, right? Where you're like, okay, do I want all of my really cool content sitting in somebody's AI project workspace that's on the cloud, and they're a startup and they're probably going to either get bought in a year or be gone, and all my stuff is stuck there. So, yeah, those are actually really significant things to consider, I think, as individuals and as companies. It's like, in this mad rush, where is my data? Not just my data, but where are my creations? And and you read all the time about these like security issues. And so, all of those things, AI doesn't change that. It just makes it even more important to consider, where's your stuff? Who owns it? Can you access it for eternity? How is it deployed? Is it replicable? So, those are very important considerations.
So you agree that if whatever you're doing as a normal user, as someone in business who's doing an app to, I don't know, I'm just throwing an example, to manage the leads, manage some small part of my work that is not critical, not as critical as we've heard from the aviation industry or from the finance industry of Rajat. Do you agree that, we don't need to have so much concerns over the security and the compatibility of so AI here in this scope? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think people have to be cognizant of not getting too caught up in the shiny thing, right? It's like, oh, it can produce this amazing thing, but if you don't step back and ask the questions about, the practical business questions about security, scalability, I think a lot of people are gonna start running into trouble, right? When you start seeing casualties in AI technology and people built a bunch of stuff on it or become reliant on technology that, Microsoft buys something and decides they don't want to keep it anymore, and everybody sort of maybe not Microsoft, but there's going to be consolidation, change, destruction that happens. So I think it is important that people are thinking about where they build and what the consequences
and what they provide in terms of data or privacy. Hey, take this image and make it like cartoon, and they have your data. God knows who has it. I think we're gonna pay for this a little bit more in the future.
Yeah, it's gonna come full circle.
Techie people, the people who build these technologies. I want to hear from Simone as a head of Agile Practice, someone who talks with the developer, someone who knows business and tech. Please.
Yeah, I cannot say I am a tech guy because I'm just product owner, product manager, head of Agile. So, but I speak somehow the language of developers, even though I don't know how to develop. That's why I'm using AI. I think that AI for me is very exciting. As I said, I'm also almost dependent on it. But I don't know, because it seems to me sometimes like I'm driving a Ferrari without a driving license or without enough experience, because I do vibe coding like I did for the website. I also build another application that I'm going to have it tested by QA and by security, I think, in a few weeks. But I don't know, because
these are technical work, just for your information.
Absolutely, yeah. They are for HackerGen, our project for high schools. It's a sort of game for the students to make questions and to answer our questions. So nothing really critical, but still it's fully built with vibe coding. I also built an agent for optimization of performances. I built an agent for security scanning, and I would like to see the results from real people. But for me, that application is a black box. I don't know how it works. And like Govin said, if I need to make some maintenance, I have to spend money just to change, I don't know, maybe a label inside that.
But you did this. Again, I think it was you who mentioned earlier in the episode, like I told you 10 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do something like that.
No, absolutely not.
But so your response to my answer, I think I understood, is that driving a Ferrari without a license when companies, organizations do
Yes,
such.
exactly. Also, today I made an experiment with my team. We found a bug in our application, and the team said, "Oh no, we are too busy. We cannot solve it. No, let's look in the next sprint." I say, "Okay, let's take a step back. Let's take 1 hour. We all gather in a room and we start looking at the bug with Copilot." And so we did that, and well, in 10 minutes we had the answer. And the developers told me that they would have never thought about that problem because it was simply a version. We used a different version. I mean, the code was written 5 years ago, so with a different version of, I don't know what application it was, so black box for me as well. And it had a different syntax. So we just changed the syntax and the application was working back again. But it was a very minor change, but the developer would have never thought about that because the code was correct. It simply was a different version that had a different syntax.
Do you agree? I understand what you're saying. I see the scope of what's happening inside IT industries, closed doors. Do you agree that many people outside the IT, and believe me, for you, what you're saying to many people is chemistry. They have no idea what you're talking about. With these small technical words, they complicate it. Or what does it mean to, I don't know, debug and understand where is this? They don't literally understand what does okay, they know the definition of debugging, but they don't know what does that really mean. Simone, my question, do you agree that a lot of people outside the IT industry think that AI is making other companies fly, or that other companies are doing huge things and we are so late? Do you agree that this thing is in the market, is in the streets?
From my experience, I think that AI will make us fly it, but we have to be careful.
Today,
Not
today,
not to fly alone.
not to fly alone.
Yeah, we because as I said, I was able alone by myself to build a complete application in a few hours.
You have a point. You have a point. Yeah. Okay.
But we have to consider that we have to do.
By flying, yeah, this is flying, and true, it is flying. It is flying. You changed my mind here about something, by the way. Stefan, can we go to Stefan? I consider you the man of the match today, or the star of this gathering. You know why?
Why?
Because they underestimated your job a lot, or the software engineer's job a lot. They said, like, you guys are gonna stay home in the next 2 years. I'm talking about 3 years ago. And while preparing for the episode, because look, companies in the last 2 years, 3 years, they did something. Either, as we've seen from our guests, that they did more things using AI because they have now a tool, a weapon that can make them do more, or they started not hiring, laying off people and saying, we don't need to hire juniors anymore. AI is doing a lot of the junior work and blah, blah, blah. And now, please, guys, anyone watching us, look online. A lot of those organizations are regretting it because, software development is not an automation task that you would bring a platform or die. 3 years have passed. We don't have seniors or mid-seniors anymore. And it didn't deliver as we expected. Stefano, how was your job before AI, and how is your job today with AI? And what do you think about this claim that you guys are not gonna have work anymore?
Okay, as I said before, our job, my job, our job as software developer changed. There's some resistance against the AI, but in the developer world, it's not that strong because from what I saw, it developed naturally. Like as I told you, it grew really fast, and at the beginning, it was really natural to just open a chatbot and ask for documentation. We started like this. I started like this. Like, this is saving already a lot of time alone, only for looking at documentation, and that was the very beginning. after that, we started, as I'm bringing my experience, like me and other developers I saw. So we started asking for snippet of code we can just put in our code. And was like a chatbot thing, really basic and everything. And then everything developed, as I said before, to what we are living right now, the agentic era. And we passed all the phases right now with the agentic era. Everything is changing because the code it produces is actually, let's say, I don't want to say reliable because it's not. All the teams I've seen, we are keeping the human in the loop. And I want to explain this, but okay, we are keeping the human in the loop because
Before you continue, please, I want to read the statistic. Stack Overflow. 84% of developers use AI. No surprise here. Only 29% trust the accuracy. I don't have hands-on code at the moment, but of course, in the last few years, I've used AI to understand the code or to write some snippets. Or no, there isn't this accuracy of relying that I would, as a company, not hire or lay off people. We are not even close to something like that at the moment. Please continue.
Yes, that's true. The accuracy is not there, and the reason is easy to understand as a developer, because you can understand, for example, LLM right now, the large language models right now, they know code. They know how to code, like in Java Spring, all the technologies, all the basics. They know not only the basics, they know all the documentation. But in real life, companies have different ways, different patterns to implement things, and each company in each project they can change, and this usually diverges from the real pattern. And you have to do that. It's not possible to follow the pattern 100% with 100% accuracy. So you have to diverge somehow. And you also have legacy code, you have old code you cannot change because you don't have time, and another project started in the middle. And all these kind of things make it really hard to follow all the standards. So you have to adapt the AI to work with your standards, and this is
And to review and to have the human within the loop. We have a lot of, I don't want to say spaghetti code, but code that is working, only God knows how. And dare you touch it because it will break. Correct
Yes.
me if I'm wrong.
Also, this is the maintenance. I mean, even if you develop with a spaghetti code is always right now it's still common, maybe less because we changed our mind in the middle, but a few years ago was more present. But AI is good at creating spaghetti code, actually, because whenever you interact with AI in a new context window, it's not for granted that it's gonna follow the same pattern you have in the project. So it's gonna create another pattern for the same implementation, but in another place. And it's gonna do that like 1,000 times every time you ask something in a new context window, and even in the same context window sometime. And complexity in the code and maintainability is not only for human. If the code is complex also for the AI. So whatever you can do with one prompt, if the code is good, you have to do with 50 prompts if the code is bad.
Anyone remembers Metaverse? Have anyone heard Metaverse in the last, I don't know, 6 months? It's not as we used to hear it before AI. I know AI is a different thing and it's here to stay and it's blah and it's blah. And it's blah. But my problem is with AI is that, as we've heard, there is critical things we cannot just run and deploy or adapt or upload private or I want to take a round, please, again, with all our special guests today to understand your message or your advice to how to prepare for tomorrow. Please, the message is for two, individually as us and as an organization. Let's hear from Rajat first, please.
Yeah, I think the most important thing you can do is look forward to it, trying things out all the time, both at an individual level and at a company level. For me, it's like, one of the things that happened in the US was a lot of people with the whole factory move to China got left behind. I think part of what we need to do is to take people along this journey. So when you're in your company, you're leading an AI related transformation, it's important to take people through that journey and help them to pick up the tools and try things out and get comfortable with it, because that's the domain expertise of like whatever how your company runs, like what your customers want, that's valuable. How to get things done is really what AI helps with. And so to me, if you can get more people to start to go up that chain of learning and understanding, that's going to be very valuable. So that's what I would say is you have to get into it.
Sharing knowledge, staying up to date, understanding. Hussam.
Trying things out, playing around with it, trying things out.
Playing around. Hussam, what is your how tomorrow looks like? How do we compete?
Yeah, I think similar to what Rajat is saying here, I think we should be training or preparing our people to be users of AI, not bystanders of AI. AI is not there to do your job so you can sit back and have a coffee. The idea is
wish.
Yeah, exactly. I think the idea is that if we change people's perceptions and people's view of how AI is not a job replacer, it's a job enhancer. And if we can get people prepared and excited for that, one will get, as Mohammed talked about, some of the really fascinating projects that expanded their creativity and their ability to do. You at an individual level, as an employee, you can find yourself doing a lot more things that you potentially couldn't do before. And again, it's not because AI is gonna do it on its own and you no longer need to be there. There has to be a driver, and going back to the Ferrari analogy, get your driving license really, and get driving.
I heard this. You need your driving license. It's fine. But get your license.
Yeah, get your license. Exactly. Prepare yourself and get your license. And I think business leaders as well need to realize that. And going back to the point about making layoffs, thinking that you can save money and cut costs through AI. Yes, we will be able to cut costs through AI. That is one of the great benefits. But your people will be there to make those cost savings for you. It's not your people that are themselves.
Or by doing more, because you're doing more, you're getting more. This is how
exactly.
So
exactly.
No rush. Focus
compounding effects of AI rather than the cutting effects. Maybe that's the
amazing message. Muhammad, let's hear from you.
I'm gonna kind of say what has been said, but maybe in a different accent. Just don't resist. Similar to what happened to the Industrial Revolution back in the 1700s, 1800s. Don't resist. Learn. Just use it to enhance your life. Do the mundane tasks for you, but at the same time, try to balance between the over-reliance on AI, not using AI. Don't over-rely on AI, because then you start not using your brain. And there has been a few research pieces out, the difference between brain activity between those who use AI too much and those who don't. I myself, the other day, I was locked outside of my house, and this is a true story. And before thinking to call a friend or a carpenter or something, or a doorsmith, I pulled out my phone and I used Gemini to help me get into the house. It actually worked. I just had to wiggle it up and down. But this is a true story. So the over-reliance on AI is a tricky business, but at the same time, we cannot fully ignore it, because it is here to stay. It is just moving forward. It's not going to disappear. Let us not fight it like those who did back in the Industrial Revolution again. And let's just make the best out of it to create beautiful things, hopefully make the world a better place.
If I'm not mistaken, I was trying to no, I don't have the answer. Brain routing, correct me, the English
brain rotting, yeah.
Was Harvard's 2024 word or like terminology.
Brain rot, yeah.
Brain rot, yeah. For a
most
magnitude of reasons, yeah.
remind me of this because we have a generation coming out who hasn't seen life without AI, who hasn't drained their mind enough. And Simone, let's go to Simone because he's in the order. What's your message?
Yeah, as I anticipated, I think that we shall not fly alone with AI. I mean, we can do everything that we want. We can write articles, we can make videos, we can make beautiful images. But if we do all this alone, we are simply, I think, copy and pasted everything that has already been made. Like you mentioned, most of the content now that is online is AI generated. And we are feeding always the same machine with the same things. So we cannot produce anything new.
Yeah.
So, and also not to be alone means that if we are a team, we cannot think to make layoffs to cut the team in half just because we have AI, but we have to produce more because AI is enhancing our possibilities, is expanding our brains. I am doing things that I thought not possible 2 or 3 years ago. I'm also studying with AI. It allows me to make a question and have a detailed answer without having to crawl Google websites and to find things online. I have the answer there. And also it prompts me to study more.
And we didn't reach the destination to say that that's it. We don't know what's there tomorrow. So it's all about preparing for tomorrow as a Stefan. And especially to the people in your industry, please, Stefan.
So what we have to do with the AI, this is or do you want me to talk about AI brain rot?
No, I want you to, you say what you want to say, but try to tell us how should we, as junior developers, should prepare for more, and not just copy and paste code today. What's your
Okay.
advice?
I asked that because it's kind of related because we don't know in for software development what is gonna be, because it's a little bit weird in the middle situation with AI right now, because it's increasing in accuracy and everything, but not enough. Right now it's not enough, so we are kind in the middle. So what we have to do in the future, I think, is adapt. This is my I mean, if everything is gonna be on like this, I usually define the AI right now as the computer long time ago. Like when the computers come up, try to imagine a company right now without a computer. It's impossible. Like you cannot even imagine it. So if things gonna continue like this, AI is gonna be the same. Isn't an answer, just like someone said before me, like it's an answer. So we are gonna be more productive, we are going to be more efficient, so we can use it, and who use it is going to be.
Yeah, I just to kind of take that point a step further. I mean, let's imagine you could use AI to, solve the most complicated problem in physics. Unless you understand that problem yourself, you'd never even know if the answer the AI provided was accurate or not, right? So it doesn't absolve us from having to be experts in our own right. And just to kind of encapsulate all of this, I think about technological advancements come and they sweep into our lives, and then they become just part of everyday life, right? And it's part of our history. The Romans invented the ballista and took over the world, right? And then everybody had artillery, and the most advanced artillery today is what wins wars. And at the same time, I was reading a story about a Sumerian tablet they found that it was like a early evidence of a corporate formation, right? They had written in stone, they had, how much money each person put in and what their future payouts were going to be. And it just reminds me that the rules of business are timeless, right? The building authentic relationships with other people can't be supplanted by AI. And so at the same time that we're advancing and adopting technology, we probably need to be even further expanding our ability to do things that aren't related to the technology, that are about building real human relationships.
I'll close it here, time-wise. But before closing, I would ask people if they can have a look on a book called "Attention is All You Need." This research paper, not a book. It was written by Google authors. It put the foundations of the LLM models that we know today for used, for example, in OpenAI or ChatGPT when they first introduced. This paper was written by authors in Google, and misguidance, misdirection, and insufficient foundation has led to them not lead this revolution. They are part of the revolution with Gemini, of course, and other solutions, but they haven't topped it like ChatGPT did. I'm running out of time. There is nothing more than to thank you all really for this amazing discussion. I could stay here all day and talk with you. My questions will never end, but time, 1 hour is very enough for our guests. Thank you so much, name by name. Rajat, thank you. Hussam Mamdouh, grazie mille in Italiano. Stefano Orlandi, thank you so much from Italy. Simone Rossi, grazie. Muhammad Amin, shukran. Govind Davis, thank you so much.
Awesome, everybody. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.